So this is where we get to. This is where it becomes complicated, because this is a letter about the tree. Oh, this was the letter that they. Yeah, this was the letter that they wrote with this little handwritten note. You know, the one that says information over leaf.
That's incredible. I bet they did that. The thing is you can never tell whether they're just incompetent or being manipulative. You can't tell.
When Ray Crawford rang me back after me saying that you better cancel this meeting, and he said no way is it going to be cancelled, I explained to him about this. I said somebody's rung me up and they don't, this letter doesn't exist. I said, but I've got it here in front of me. It's signed by so and so, so and so. And I said to him, then this is either gross incompetence in your department or you're doing it deliberately. No, he said, it's neither of those. I said, well, it's got to be one or the other. It either somebody's completely incompetent or you're doing it deliberately. It's not an accident.
He doesn't tend to answer those questions very directly.
So with that, where did we get? Did you read this, what I said in this speech?
I've skim read it. I haven't really read it in detail.
I mean,
it's shocking, really. They just you can read it if you like, or
well,
where
do we go? You see,
the notification was really poor. We've identified that. You could skip that bit and just go straight to the rest if you want.
Let me just pick out the little bits.
Okay.
The agenda notice doesn't include the previous site history, but it should do, because the developers considered to choose it as one plot on the various layouts that he's produced. So they've now just extracted this little piece in isolation. The planning notes indicate that there is no significant changes since the last permission was granted on this plot, which was now lapsed as approved. We would challenge this. There is now an access road running through the plot that was not there when permission was granted. This materially reduces the space available to build. Further to this, using the indicative site plan provided by the developer and drawing an 8 metre square on the plan, it appears that there is insufficient room on the site to comply with condition 17, which is a 10 metre access drive to the dwelling, with the dwelling situated as far back to the boundary appears only to leave 3 metres for the access road. These measurements are taken off the scale plan and as such are not accurate, but they are within a tolerable estimate to be significant. These are the reasons then that we think there'd be overdevelopment on the site. It goes on about drainage. The proposal shows there's contamination on the site from a cesspool, and the developer proposes to deal with it thus, and this is on the actual application. Existing redundant cesspool to be drained, demolished and filled, and the foul from the existing inspection chamber to be connected to the main drain on the site. So there's a 198 Wishing Tree Road has got a cesspool in his back garden, and that cesspit empties down into the land and has done so since the 1800s, and he has a right of easement for drainage onto that land. So the cesspit has been emptying out onto that land for all these years. One of the conditions for the 9, this is now just the one of the conditions for the 9 was that before any construction took place, they would be required to inspect and remove any contaminated material and clean up the site and deal with it in a proper way. Okay. So on the morning of the planning application, the morning I made the speech, and I did it deliberately in the morning so that it was absolutely contemporaneous. Okay. I have this morning spoken to the owner of 198 Wishing Tree Road, whose land the site is at the rear of. He informs me that the cesspit is certainly not redundant, and furthermore he has recently discovered that the surface water from the block of 7 houses at Squirrel Close empties into his cesspit. He is not aware of any permissions being granted for this right. Squirrel Close was built by the same developer who is making the application.
So he didn't let him know?
He has had no contact of any kind from the developer regarding this issue or any other. I would have thought permission from the owner of 198 would be a prerequisite before deciding how the contamination was to be dealt with.
It's a pretty shocking revelation.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's interested.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this is my speech.
You
the
read
planning
that
meeting,
out. What did they do
yeah,
when you read that out?
Nobody's interested.
They might as well have been asleep. Perhaps they were. Crikey.